At the heart of the prophetic book of Revelation, there is a special message for people living in the last years of Earth's history. In other words, it is a special message for you and for me. We are living in the climactic moments of the great cosmic conflict, the final battle between good and evil. Today, in our short and sweet guide to Bible prophecy, let's take a quick look at this important and intriguing message. Hi, this is Michael DANT with Adventist World Radio, and today we are visiting Petra in the country of Jordan before heading back to our homes. Petra is an ancient city built on a traditional spice trading route in the land of Edom, which was Esau's territory, and it used to be the capital of Arabia. In fact, King Aretas, mentioned in 2 Corinthians 11:32, is believed to have been the king of Petra during the time of Paul. Petra is so fascinating because of its many burial houses and temple structures that are carved directly into the cliff walls. The city was devastated by an earthquake and eventually abandoned before being rediscovered in 1812 by a Swiss explorer. Welcome to the short and sweet guide to Bible prophecy. Travel the world with me as we explore together life-changing prophecies from God's holy word. You know, when we think of the great cosmic conflict, wouldn't it be helpful if our all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving God gave us some special insight into the devil's battle plans so that we could be ready for the coming onslaught? And that is exactly what God has given us in the three angels' messages of Revelation 14. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor and destroyed or disabled much of America's Pacific Naval Fleet. This attack totally surprised the United States military and diplomatic leaders. Despite its successes at breaking Japanese diplomatic and naval codes, and despite their new radar installation on Oahu, they had almost no warning that the Japanese were going to attack. The surprise was total, and the destruction was catastrophic. Fast forward 6 months to June 4, 1942. On this day, Japan launched another surprise attack on the Midway Atoll. The purpose of the attack was to finish the job of destroying America's Pacific Fleet by luring its aircraft carriers into battle and then ambushing them on the way. It was a brilliant plan, and probably would have succeeded gloriously except for one small problem. The United States knew all about the surprise attack, weeks before it took place. On May 2, more than a month before the Battle of Midway, America intercepted and decoded Japanese messages relating to the attack on May 16. They decoded a message that even specified the planned positions of the attacking aircraft carriers. With this information in hand, the United States moved 126 warplanes to Midway and sent all 3 of its available aircraft carriers to the battle. Even though Japan had 4 aircraft carriers, the United States had the tactical advantage because they knew the battle plan in advance, and the surprise was all theirs. By the time the battle ended 4 days later, all 4 of the attacking aircraft carriers had been destroyed, and the United States had just lost 1. From the battles of Pearl Harbor and Midway, we can learn an important lesson. Knowing the enemy's battle plans in advance can mean the difference between catastrophic loss and glorious victory. That is why the three angels' messages of Revelation 14 are so crucial. In them, God tells us 3 very important things. The first angel proclaims the judgment that Jesus is conducting in the heavenly sanctuary and how we can prepare for that judgment. The second angel informs us of the devil's success in corrupting some Christian churches here on earth and how we must respond to that corruption. And finally, the third angel reveals to us Satan's future battle plan, the last great test of loyalty, the mark of the beast. Let's start reading the three angels' messages in Revelation chapter 14 and verses 6 and 7. And I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven, having an eternal gospel to preach to those who live on the earth, and to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. And he said with a loud voice, "Fear God and give glory to him, because the hour of his judgment has come. And worship him who made the heaven and the earth, and sea and springs of waters." The first thing that we notice about the first angel's message is that it is good news. That's what the word gospel means. And this good news is to be preached to all who live on earth, every nation, tribe, tongue, and people. This message is for us. The angel proclaims it from heaven with a loud voice because it contains critically important information, and he wants everyone to hear it. But what's all this about fearing God? That doesn't sound like good news. And that part about the judgment doesn't sound so great either. How is this good news? The word fear in the Bible is a fascinating word. Depending on the context, it can mean anything from abject terror to loving awe. This word evokes visceral and powerful emotions, and it packs depths of meaning. In our next episode, we'll unpack those depths a little further. Moving to the second angel's message, we find that it is surprisingly short. It begins in verse 8. And another angel, a second one, followed, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, she who has made all the nations drink of the wine of the passion of her immorality. Well, that's interesting. But what does it mean? What is Babylon? How is it fallen? And what is all this about the wine of the passion of her immorality? And why should we care? The prophecies of Revelation very frequently use symbols to represent real people, places, and powers. Babylon is one of those symbols. It occurs 6 times in the book of Revelation. And as we'll discover in an upcoming episode, it represents a fallen church. We get a few more details about Babylon and her fall in Revelation 18, where the prophet writes, After these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illumined with his glory. And he cried out with a mighty voice, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, and she has become a dwelling place of demons and a prison of every unclean spirit, and a prison of every unclean and hateful bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the passion of her immorality, and the kings of the earth have committed acts of immorality with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich by the wealth of her sensuality. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you may not participate in her sins, and that you may not receive of her plagues. For her sins have piled up as high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Revelation 18, verses 1 through 5. Here the mighty angel not only gives us more detail about Babylon and her sins, but he warns us to come out of her, my people. There is a lot of symbolism here, and the meaning is probably not immediately obvious. But don't worry, we're going to look at the second angel's message in more detail in an upcoming episode. The third angel's message is found in verses 9 through 12 of Revelation 14. Here we find God's warning about the mark of the beast. And another angel, a third one, followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives a mark on his forehead or upon his hand, he also will drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is mixed in full strength in the cup of his anger. And he will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day and night, those who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. Here is the perseverance of the saints, who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. Revelation 14, 10 through 12. Okay, so, wow, scary stuff here. It is difficult to remember that these angels are proclaiming good news, but it really is good news. Wonderful news, because God is warning us about the mark of the beast in advance, so that we can do whatever it takes to avoid it. This is the devil's final battle plan, laid open for all to see, and at least for those who read and understand the prophecy, it can be a great benefit. So let's dig in. When Adam and Eve sinned, they failed at the testing tree. Remember that God had put into the Garden of Eden the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and that the devil was initially confined to that tree? It was only when Eve wandered over to the tree that Satan was able to tempt her. After their sin, the floodgates of sin and misery were opened. Pandora's box could not be closed. The devil and his fallen angels had free access to the entire world and set about tempting and corrupting all mankind. Just before Jesus comes back to earth, there will be another testing tree of sorts. And like the tree in Eden, this one will test our loyalty to God. Those who fail the test will receive the mark of the beast in their forehead or hand. Those who stand true to God will receive the seal of God in their foreheads. Revelation 7, 2 and 3. The devil is busy at this very moment preparing that final test. What will it be? How can we avoid it? Stay tuned. In upcoming episodes, we will crack the code, understand the prophetic symbols, and clearly see what the devil's up to and how we can prepare for it. It is interesting to note that these 3 angels' messages contain exactly 3 commands. They are found in the message of the first angel. Fear God, give glory to Him, and worship Him who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and springs of waters. As we'll see, these 3 commands correspond to the 3 messages. Fearing God relates to the judgment. Giving glory to God is associated with the fall of Babylon, and worship is the key to understanding the mark of the beast. Besides the 3 messages and the 3 commands, this special message to end-time humanity gives us 3 characteristics of God's people. They are found at the end of the 3rd angel's message when he proclaims, "Here is the perseverance of the saints, who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus." Revelation 14, verse 12. In other words, God's end-time people will be persevering, commandment-keeping, faith-filled followers of Jesus. 3 messages, 3 commands, 3 characteristics. God has so much to tell us in these 7 critically important verses found at the heart of the prophetic book of Revelation. The 3 angels' messages can be difficult to understand, but when we read and decode what he has written here for us, it can revolutionize our lives and our future. Next time, we will look at what the Bible means when it commands us to fear God. Until then, keep reading about Jesus in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Jesus is the key to this life and to the life to come, and the revelation is the revelation of Jesus Christ. Well, I promised you short and sweet. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time, and you probably have a question, comment, or prayer request. If so, just text it to the number on your screen. At the same time, ask for your free Points to Ponder handout for this video. To continue exploring God's Word with me, just click the next episode button. And thank you for watching the Short and Sweet Guide to Bible Prophecy series. May the Lord richly bless you today.